It was 11:45 p.m. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind restless. My wife Gloria had left in the afternoon, claiming she was attending a special prayer session at Pastor Samuel's house. It was not the first time. She had been doing this for months, always rushing to see the pastor, always calling him daddy like a devoted daughter. At first, I found it normal. After all, she was a devoted church member. But then, things started to change. She spent more time at the pastor's house than at home. She cooked for him. She cleaned his house. She even washed his clothes. And when I complained, she would snap at me. "Don't talk about daddy like that. He is a man of God," she would say. But tonight, something felt different. My instincts told me something was wrong. I picked up my phone and dialed her number. It rang, but she didn't answer. I called again. No response. My chest tightened. Then suddenly, a message popped up on my phone. It was from a friend, Tunde. "Bro, I saw your wife entering Pastor Samuel's house this evening, but something doesn't look right. You might want to come check this out." My heart pounded. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my car keys, and rushed out of the house. Pastor Samuel's house was about 10 minutes away, but that drive felt like an eternity. When I got there, I parked a few meters away and switched off the car lights. My palms were sweaty as I stepped out, my feet moving as if on their own. The house was silent, but a dim light glowed from one of the windows. Slowly, I moved closer and peeped through the curtains. What I saw made my blood freeze. There inside the house was my wife, Gloria. She was not praying. She was not singing. She was sitting on Pastor Samuel's lap, laughing, her arms around his neck. The man of God held her waist tightly, whispering something into her ears. I clenched my fists. My breathing became heavy. My entire world shattered in that moment. "Gloria!" I whispered under my breath. I had seen enough, but I didn't want to cause a scene. Not yet. I pulled out my phone and took a few pictures. Then I stepped back, my mind racing. I waited. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, at about 2 a.m., the front door opened and Gloria stepped out. She looked around cautiously before hurrying toward her car. I moved forward. "Going somewhere?" She froze. Slowly, she turned around, her face filled with shock and fear. "Honey, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "I should be asking you that," I said, crossing my arms. "What exactly have you been doing in Daddy's house at this hour?" She swallowed hard. I was praying." I let out a dry laugh. "Praying? So that's what they call it now?" I held up my phone, showing her the pictures I had taken. "Explain this." Her face turned pale. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her eyes darting around. She had been caught, and she knew it. "Baby, it's not what you think," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. I shook my head. "I don't need your lies, Gloria. I want the truth." Suddenly, the front door creaked open again. Pastor Samuel stepped out, dressed in nothing but a loose robe. His eyes widened when he saw me. Wow, this story is getting intense, right? If you're enjoying it, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most thrilling, emotional, and unforgettable African stories every week. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now and stay tuned for more. "My son," he started. "Don't call me that," I snapped. "You think I don't know what's going on? You've been sleeping with my wife." Gloria gasped. "No, it's not like that." Pastor Samuel sighed and rubbed his forehead. "Okay, but let's talk about this like men. We don't have to create a scene." I laughed bitterly. "You don't want a scene? You have been messing with another man's wife, and now you want peace?" Neighbors had begun to stir. Lights flickered on in nearby houses. A few people peeked through their windows. Pastor Samuel's voice became stern. "Listen, young man, you need to calm down. You don't know who you are dealing with." I stepped closer. "And who exactly am I dealing with?" He smirked. "I have power, spiritual power. If you speak a word of this to anyone, I promise you, your life will never be the same." That was it. That was the moment I knew I had to bring him down. I stepped back, took a deep breath, and raised my voice. "Everyone, listen up." The neighbors, now fully awake, stepped out of their houses. Some held torches, others clutched their wrappers around their bodies. "This so-called man of God has been sleeping with my wife," I announced. "And I have proof." Gas filled the air. An elderly woman from the crowd stepped forward. "Pastor Samuel, is this true?" Pastor Samuel raised his hands. "Lies! This man is possessed. He is trying to bring down the church." I held up my phone again and played a recording of their voices from earlier. Gloria's laughter, Pastor's whispers, everything. A murmur ran through the crowd. The whispers turned into shouts. Women shook their heads in disgust. Some of the men stepped forward, their faces dark with anger. Pastor Samuel started sweating. Wait, let's not rush into conclusions. But it was too late. People had heard enough. By morning, the news had spread like wildfire. Church members stormed the house, demanding answers. Some women wailed, feeling betrayed. Men cursed under their breath. The church committee held an emergency meeting. By evening, Pastor Samuel was stripped of his title. The once revered daddy was now just a disgraced man. As for Gloria, she begged for forgiveness. She cried. She swore she was manipulated, but the damage was done. "You chose him over our home," I told her. "Now live with the consequences." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "Go home, Gloria. There's nothing left here for you." She broke down completely, weeping in the rain. The pain remained for a while, but with time I healed. I focused on myself, my work, and my peace of mind. Some betrayals can never be undone, some wounds never fully heal, and some people must live with the consequences of their actions forever. Life is full of twists and turns, and this is just one of many stories waiting to be told. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more amazing stories. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.